West Knoxville versus South Knoxville data deep dive. Now, there is an anecdotal version of this video. So if you are not into the data and you just want to hear opinions, anecdotes, and general thoughts, go check out that video. If you like all the numbers, all the percentages, all things numbers, like, let me just show you this. Hours, I tell you. So if you like all the data, this video is for you. Again, we're talking West Knoxville versus South Knoxville data deep dive. Let's dive in and get going. The husband's from South Knoxville. We currently live in Seymour, right on the edge of South Knoxville and Blount County and Sevier County. So anyways, I know both of these areas extremely well, but I wanted to dive in and just say, okay, when people are talking about West Knoxville versus South Knoxville, what is there really comparable? Is there anything comparable? Because as someone natively from West Knoxville, I would tell you they're not comparable. Just flat out, I would say that that's not the same thing. Briefly had a little conversation with Shay that's in the anecdotal version of this. And I was asking him South Knoxville versus West Knoxville. And he said that, he talked about traffic, which you're gonna see that in the population density numbers. But he said that, well, West Knoxville is huge. South Knoxville is much smaller. So when we're talking about West Knoxville, we're talking about 7 zip codes. We're talking about 37922, 37934, 37923, 37931, 37923, 37919, and 37909. Okay, so that spans from basically downtown all the way out to Farragut, to the Loudoun County line, pretty much. So that being said, when we talk about West Knox versus South Knox, when I say one is much larger than the other. So West Knoxville, those 7 zip codes cover 139 square miles, which is about 27%, over a quarter of Knox County in general. Knox County in general is 508 square feet. West Knox accounts for 27%, about 27% of that 139 square miles. However, South Knox on the opposite end is about half the size, which is interesting, is about half the size of West Knoxville. South Knoxville is 72.5 square miles. Now, that being said, I just said that West Knoxville is about 139, South Knoxville is 172. So that's about half the size of square mileage that West Knoxville is, okay? Now, what's the population density though? The population density of West Knox on average, if we average out all 7 zip codes, is 1,648 people per square mile. Versus South Knoxville is at 579 people per square mile. So while South Knoxville is large, number one, and it's half the size of, half the size of square miles that we see in West Knoxville, it's also a lot less dense. Like 1/3 as dense as what West Knoxville is. Is West Knoxville more dense than Knox County as a whole? Yeah, so Knox County population density on average is 910 people per square mile. Knox County, 910 people per square mile. However, again, West Knox is at 1,648 people per square mile. So West Knoxville is 80% higher in population density per square mile than what Knox County is. However, if we then go back and talk about South Knoxville, as I said, it's about 34% less dense than what we find in Knox County. Again, pointing to the fact that in general, South Knoxville is gonna be the higher opportunity to find property with land and bigger yards, more space, especially as you get further south. Another stat to think about is water frontage. And so again, I talked about this in that anecdotal video of water frontage in West Knox is primarily all residential for the most part. You do have some parks, but there's more space, there's more square miles of water area. West Knoxville has total water area of 11.71 square miles, whereas South Knoxville has 3.2 square miles. And that South Knoxville water frontage is not primarily all residential. A lot of that, I would say probably half of it is some sort of industry, unused space that's not necessarily accessible. Now there are some park spaces. You've got Suttree Landing, you've got a little park just off of like the Island Home, or you got Island Home Park, and then you have a little park off of the Lakemore Hills area that are waterfront parks, but that is not a huge percentage. On the West Knox side, you have Cherokee Boulevard, which is part of Sequoia Hills. Some of that's residential, some of that's park space. You've got Lakeshore Park, that's park space. So you've got more residential on the water in West Knoxville than what you have in South Knoxville, but also you have more water frontage in general. I also do want to be clear though to you, just because there's more residential on water in West Knoxville does not mean that it's readily available. The supply of waterfront residential in general in Knox County is extremely low and is extremely competitive. So I do not want to paint the picture that you're going to go to West Knoxville and get cheaper water frontage, because that's absolutely not true. It's not true. Don't listen. Or don't make that conclusion, because that's the complete wrong conclusion. Water frontage, if you're wanting residential water frontage, it's going to be cheaper in South Knoxville, period. Is it going to be readily available? No. Okay, so just for context as well, in terms of Knox County itself, 17 square miles of water frontage or water area. Again, South Knox is about 20% of that total, whereas West Knox is 69% of that 17 or 11 miles, of waterfront. Now that I just said that, Knoxville and Knox County, what about taxes? So who pays less city taxes, West Knox or South Knox? And I have a whole video about city and county taxes, and then I also have a whole video about Knox County itself. I've got a video about Blount County, Anderson County, Sevier County, so go watch those. But we have Knoxville City, and then we have Knox County. One school system in Knox County, but if you are within the city limits of Knoxville, you're going to pay city taxes and county taxes, because you're living in both Knoxville City and Knox County. If you are in Knoxville City, you're also part of your city taxes go towards trash service, go towards EMS service. Whereas if you're out in the county, you're paying for trash service. You're paying a rural metro membership for EMS services. So that being said, and you don't have to obviously, but they're not a part of your taxes. So anyways, what percentage of West Knoxville does not pay county taxes? So West Knoxville, 74% does not pay county taxes. Now, the way I got this number is meant to be a snapshot and give you a general idea. I got this number by pulling all home sales in West Knoxville for the past 365 days that were not new construction. So if you're like, where did you get that number? So this number is kind of made up, but we're just deducing some information from it because, again, as I said, I pulled all sales. So actives, pendings, closed, everything. All sales in all 7 West Knox zip codes that had a maximum of a $1 that they paid in city taxes. So if they had a maximum $1, they were out. So basically that's how I weeded out anybody that paid a city tax. And so that gave me 74% of West Knoxville does not pay a city tax. They pay only a county tax. And then if we want to dive deeper into that, 100% of 37931, 37932, 37934, all of those, so that would be Carnes, Farragut, Hardin Valley, none of those zip codes pay any city taxes. Cedar Bluff area, 89% pay only county taxes. 37909, everyone is paying a city tax. 96% of 37922. Really only one zip code that does pay, everybody pays, and that's 37909. That's obviously very closer into town. And then 37931, which is that Sequoia Hills area, 33% of those people have both city and county taxes. So that being said, if we take an average of all of that, 74% of West Knox residents do not pay city and county taxes. Versus if we look at South Knoxville, same way of pulling this number based on real estate sales. Again, new construction not included. I didn't include new construction because there are no taxes yet for that, or they're not accurate. like if it's an old land amount and what I just took out all new construction because it gets a little bit messy. So this number is already a very big assumptive number just to give us a picture. So I didn't want to add any more muddying. But South Knoxville, about 42% paid or pay county taxes only, which means that 58% are paying a city tax. Now, that being said, if you look at where's there more housing, it's closer into the city in South Knoxville. And then Knox County as a whole, about 63% of residents pay only county taxes. So that means that, you know, a big portion are paying city and county, but still 63% of Knox County residents, county only. So then let's talk about population. And this is gonna also give you a better idea, which I kind of briefly touched on this already because I talked about that population density, those numbers. So Knox County has just over 500,000 residents. That is not Knoxville. That is Knox County. So that includes Knoxville City, the city of Knoxville, but also everybody in Knox County. 193,872 is the rough population for those 7 zip codes. So West Knoxville accounts for about 40% of the overall population in Knox County. That is a lot. Okay, West Knoxville, again, is much larger. If we were to look at South Knoxville, we would see that about 41,825 people live right now in South Knoxville, which is just 8% of the overall Knox County population, which also goes back to that population density. As we said, South Knoxville is less population dense than Knox County and certainly than West Knoxville. So again, more space in South Knoxville. So if we look at West Knoxville in general versus South Knoxville when it comes to grocery stores, your mind is about to be blown. In West Knoxville, I counted at least 21 grocery stores versus South Knoxville. There's a Kroger, there's a Food City, there's a Walmart Supercenter, and there's a UGO, United Grocery Outlet. 4. That's very different, right? That's telling you, hey, there's less stuff in South Knoxville, okay? Well, what about hospitals? Interestingly, the way that I did this is hospitals with an emergency room. In West Knoxville, that would be Tenova, Turkey Creek, and Park West. That's 2. In South Knoxville, that would be UT Medical Center, which is our top ranked place. And that's literally the very front of South Knoxville, right next to downtown, across the river from the University of Tennessee campus. And then also Covenant Health South. Now, I even hesitate to include this, but it fits into the has an ER category. That is a newer facility that is around Chapman Highway and John Sevier at the Mountain Grove area. If you know South Knoxville, you know what I'm talking about. But if you were to look on a map, you're gonna come down from South Knoxville and from Chapman Highway. You're gonna look for John Sevier, and where those intersect, you're gonna see a Starbucks, a Walmart Supercenter, a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a Food City, and then you're gonna see Covenant Health South, which does have an emergency room. So from that, then if we look at how many in Knox County have a emergency room, 6, I believe. Okay, so this stat is the one I'm least confident about, but from what I know and what I gathered, 6 total in Knox County with a emergency room. And by the way, that 6 includes East Tennessee children. So only obviously children are going to that one. But both West and South Knox have about 30% of the hospitals. What about gyms? I include this because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a gym junkie. Used to teach a ton of group fitness classes, body pump, body flow, body combat, body attack. I mean, all the things. Body pump. Did I say body pump? I thought grit. Anyways, whatever. You get it. By far and away, West Knox, as you probably guessed, can win this category easily. Okay, so I'm just gonna name to you, West Knox basically has more gyms, more boutique gyms than it has grocery stores. When we talk about box gyms, we've got 9+ in West Knoxville. Again, I'm sorry that I'm sure somebody got left out. But Fort Sanders Health and Wellness, Iron 24, YMCA, Planet Fitness, another YMCA, NFC, National Fitness Center, Club for Fitness, Armor Gym, Anytime Fitness, Gold's Gym, Workout Anytime Fitness, Gold's Gym. So that's at least 9 big box gyms. Whereas if we look at South Knoxville, there are 3, which I actually think is pretty good considering. Gold's, Anytime, and Planet Fitness. So that's 3, not too bad. Boutique gyms. This is where there are more than there are grocery stores in West Knoxville. In West Knoxville, I know of at least 25 boutique gyms. When I say boutique, that's like yoga, bar, CrossFit, F45, core change, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's what all those are. Neighborhood Bar, F45, CrossFit Knoxville, Reach Functional Fitness, Powerhouse Boxing, Hotworks, Real Hot Yoga, Triple F, Mind Body Knox, Hotworks, Bar 3, CrossFit Courageous, D1, Blue Ridge Yoga, Club Pilates, Elevation Arts and Fitness, The Connect Pilates, Core Change, Orange Theory, High Low, Real Hot Yoga, Renegade, Yoga 6, Hotworks, Breezeway, Bar 3, Pure Bar, Core Change, Pure Bar, Neighborhood Bar, Club Pilates, Cycle Bar, Orange Theory. That's 25 different ones across 7 zip codes. Versus, if we look at South Knoxville, we see Landing Health and Performance, which is on Sevier Avenue, Evolve Yoga, which is at Baker Creek Preserve, CrossFit Remo, which is on Alcoa Highway, and then coming soon is F45, which is going to Kern's Bakery, and then Climbing Route, which is at also Baker Creek. So 5 that I counted. If I'm leaving someone out, I'm very sorry. There was a Bullman's on Sevier that closed. There was a Pilates place on Sevier Avenue that has also now moved as well. So that being said, certainly, not really the same. It's not the same. Now, there are more boutique gyms than grocery stores. I will say that. They have that going for them. South Knoxville does at least, but it is not where you're just going to have like a membership. If I want to go, you know what? Oh, I put Cycle Bar in here. And I think there's a Soul Cycle too that is missing from here. And that's also in West Knoxville. So there's at least 26. But that being said, if I wanted to join a cycle gym, I'm going to West Knoxville. If I wanted to go to a bar studio, I'm going to West Knoxville. If I wanted to do hot yoga, I can do that at Evolve and South Knoxville. So that's a cool new addition. That's a recently opened thing. But you know, it's not the mecca of boutique gyms. There's just not. And again, that goes to that population density idea. What about parks? Just from an anecdotal perspective, I would quickly tell you that South Knoxville has more parks, but I don't think that's actually accurate. South Knoxville seems to have more parks based on its population density, like more access to parks, but West Knoxville has a good number of parks as well. West Knoxville, you got McPhee, Founders Lakeshore, Concord Park, Cherokee Boulevard, which is like Sequoia Hills as well. And those are just your majors. Whereas South Knoxville, you got Baker Creek, Suttrie's Landing, Iams Nature Center, you've got Fort Dickerson. So you have a ton of parks in South Knoxville given its size comparatively to West Knoxville. So certainly when it comes to outdoor activities, both of them are great. And I think South Knoxville actually is a little bit higher in this category, strictly based on who's got more major parks in general. Okay, public schools, and this is a huge difference. So obviously we talked about the population of West Knoxville is a lot larger. So again, population of West Knoxville, 193,000, about 39% of our Knox County population. There are 17-ish high schools in Knox County. That includes the virtual high school, Ellen Sim Academy, and Career Magnet, okay? So there are 5 public high schools in Knox County. And those account for just under 10,000 students. And if I did a little bit of a rough number because I was trying to see exactly the high school enrollment in Knox County, I did not have luck with that, and I was too lazy to go to all 17 schools and see what their enrollment is, okay? So instead, what I did is I took all the students that Knox County serves, which is it's just over 60,000. I took 60,000 and divided it by 13 because K through 12, 13 grades. And then I multiplied it by 4 because all of our Knox County schools are 9, 10, 11, 12. So basically I divided that 60,000 by 13. We're saying that grade levels, that makes the assumption that the grade levels all have the same amount of students, which obviously is not correct. But again, we're just trying to get a picture here. So I took that and I multiplied it by 4, which gave me, there are roughly 20,000 high school students in Knoxville. Okay, roughly. Half of those students, almost 45% of them, go to a West Knoxville high school. And you're like, wait, how does that work? Well, first of all, if it's just 5, okay, so West Knoxville has some of your largest high schools. So South Knoxville school enrollment, just for context, is 992 students. That's the number of students that go to South Doyle High School, which is the only high school in Knox County. okay, which accounts for about 5% of that 20,000 overall high school students. Whereas Bearden High School enrollment, 1,997 students. Carnes, 1,300 students. Hardin Valley, 2,100 students. Farragut, 2,100 students. West High School, almost 1,500 students. So those are much larger schools, right, than what we even see in South Knox. So that's why we can see that almost half of our high school enrollment is accounted for in West Knoxville. And if you're like, well, wait, what did the population say again? About 39% of all of Knox County lives in West Knoxville. Also, as a side note to this point that I just made, private schools, there are 8 private high schools, and these are the major ones. I know I'm missing others that are the smaller ones, but there are 8 private major high schools in West Knoxville. So that would be Webb School of Knoxville, Knoxville Catholic, CAK, Christian Academy of Knoxville, Grace Christian, River's Edge, Paideia, Knoxville Christian, and Concord Christian. So that's 8 private high schools in general, right? Whereas South Knoxville, we don't have that. There is not a private high school. If there's one, I don't know about it. Okay, real estate, let's dive in. I know this has taken me this whole video to get to the very end, which this may have been the part that you're looking for, but South Knox versus West Knox real estate numbers as they compare to Knox County as well. What I've done is at the time of this video, it's December 2024. Okay, so all of this data that we are hearing is again a snapshot and it's giving us an idea, right? That being said, I pulled November year-to-date 2023 and compared it to November year-to-date 2024. So we have same, right? Sell price, days on market, absorption rate. And I did that across all the West Knox zip codes and then pulled an average. Then I did South Knox, which is just that one zip code. And then I looked at Knox County as a whole. Okay, so we can get a picture of how is West Knox transacting compared to South Knox and how are those each transacting compared to Knox County. So if we look at West Knox, year to date, average sale price as of November 2024 is $574,000, which is about a 1% increase in sale price compared to last year for West Knoxville. Last year, West Knox was at $554,139. We saw a 1.4% increase in sale price in West Knox. Now, interestingly, if we look at South Knox average sale price this time last year, $360,000 versus November 2024, $375,000, which is a 4% increase. So we've seen that South Knox pricing increase more than what we saw in West Knox, which is interesting. What about Knoxville as a whole? Both of them did not increase in price as much as Knox County as a whole. Knox County went from $436,000 to $460,000 to $470,000. So about just over, almost a 6% increase. Now, who's more expensive? Obviously, as you heard the number, $574,000 in West Knox is a lot more than $375,000 average sale price in South Knox. Now, West Knox is about 24% higher than that average Knox County sale price, whereas South Knox is about 19% lower than the Knox County price. So South Knox looks like some good opportunity there. We're seeing that it had a higher price increase over 2023 to 2024, 4% versus that 1% if we look at West Knoxville, but we also see that both of them did not have as much price appreciation as Knox County as a whole. What about when we look at who is selling more quickly? West Knox last year, 6 days on market, right now 10 days on market. South Knox last year, 5 days on market, right now 11 days. Knox County as a whole, 5 days, and now we're at 10 days. Those are median days on market, not your averages. Your average is a bit higher. I chose median just because that gives us a better picture of what's happening with the majority. And then if we look at absorption rates, all of them are up. So year-to-date 2023 November for West Knox is 1.43 months, whereas West Knox now, November 2024, is at 1.92 months, so up 34%. South Knox is up 83%, so almost double. November 2023 median or absorption rate, was 1.08 months, and now we're at almost 2 at 1.98, which under 2 months is still a seller's market. So I want to point that out to you. Again, these are November year-to-date stats. of 2024 versus 2023. Then if we look at Knox County as a whole, we see that Knox County is up 52%, 1.27 months to 1.93. And if you're like, well, hold on here, back up, what is the absorption rate? That is telling us if no more houses were to go on the market, how long until we are out of houses. So all of these are under 2 months, which again indicates a seller's market still, which also indicates why we have seen prices increasing across all that we've talked about, West Knox, South Knox, and Knox County as a whole. So that being said, when it comes to like from a real estate perspective, what we're seeing is, yeah, West Knoxville is a higher average price point. South Knoxville, if we look at 2023 to 2024, price appreciation is larger in South Knoxville. Now that could be for a number of reasons. That could tell us maybe it's a stronger market in South Knoxville, or it could tell us that South Knoxville is more affordable than West Knoxville. So maybe there's more demand there, if that makes sense. But also we know there's like South Knoxville is accounting for a less amount of the overall sales transactions just because it's a smaller area. As a side note, if you're curious about rent, South Knoxville has the lowest rent, and I think these rent numbers are a little bit off. I think they're too low. Specifically, the data I pulled gives us an average rent in West Knoxville of $1,200 a month. I think that's very optimistic and not correct, but that's across 7 zip codes. Again, I think that's off. I think it's too low. That's my opinion. But if we just take this, they're all from the same source, these numbers. Rent in West Knox, $1,200. Rent in South Knox, $905. Rent all Knox County, $1,300 a month. I think that's incorrect. I think West Knox is higher than these, but that's just from my anecdotal. That's not what the data is saying. So I'd have to do a super data deep dive, but I'm sure that rent in South Knoxville is less than rent in West Knoxville. So that is your data deep dive. I hope this has been super helpful for you. If there is data on here that I have left off that you're like, whoa, I want to know blah, 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 then you can always text me. You can always write a message. You can always send out a carrier pigeon. I'm just kidding. That's lame. You know what I'm saying. Just let me know, okay? And as always, I hope this has been helpful. If this is helpful, you want to know more about Knoxville and East Tennessee, please click subscribe because I have so much more to share with you. And if you want the anecdotal version and you want to hear my husband's opinion, then go check out the anecdotal West Knoxville versus South Knoxville because that's helpful as well. And it's a very different approach to all kind of the same information. So I'm Haley Jones. I'll see you next time.